Some women don't need volume to be powerful. They don't chase attention. They don't fight to be seen. Yet somehow every room notices them. Their silence is not weakness, it's influence. And when a silent woman moves, decides, or walks away, the world feels it. She communicates through presence, not noise, because she understands that attention earned is more powerful than attention demanded. A silent woman listens more than she speaks. She watches what people say, but more importantly, she watches what they do. Her presence is calm, controlled, and observant, and people feel it even when she is not trying to impress anyone. She shows confidence without needing to announce it. Her body language speaks for her. The way she carries herself, the way she enters a room, the way she holds eye contact for a second and then looks away without needing to dominate. There is power in being selective with words, because every time she chooses silence over unnecessary noise, she becomes unpredictable, and people respect what they can't easily read. She doesn't fill space with explanations or try to convince anyone of who she is. She lets her actions build her reputation. She understands that real strength doesn't need a microphone. She communicates through decisions, boundaries, and restraint. While others react emotionally, she responds with intention. Sometimes she doesn't respond at all, and that silence has more impact than any argument could. Silence makes people think, question, and reevaluate themselves. Her presence shows that she is in control of her energy. When she is silent, she is not suppressing emotion. She is managing it. She is thinking deeper, understanding faster, and seeing more than people realize. Her silence helps her see who talks too much, who exposes themselves, who reveals insecurity, and who tries to perform for attention. She learns more by speaking less, and this makes her dangerous in the smartest way. She communicates respect without needing to flatter. She shows disinterest without drama. She sets boundaries without shouting, and she leaves situations without creating chaos. People who misunderstand her silence often reveal their own insecurity, because silence exposes people more than words do. Someone who is stable can sit in silence with her. Someone who needs power will try to provoke her. Someone who is insecure will fear her calm. She notices all of it. Her presence communicates what her voice never needs to say. She does not compete with loud people. She does not try to prove intelligence in arguments. She knows that silence keeps her dignity, it protects her peace, and it keeps her from lowering her standards. She also understands timing. She knows when to speak and when to leave words behind. Her presence in a room is felt not because she tries, but because she is centered, collected, and confident in who she is. People remember the quiet woman because she never wastes her voice. She never uses words as weapons. She uses silence as strategy, and that is why people listen when she finally does speak. Her words hold weight because she doesn't hand them out carelessly. She doesn't beg to be understood. She doesn't fight to be heard. She lets her character speak first, and that is how she communicates without noise, how she earns respect without demands, how she influences without raising her voice. Her presence is the message, and the world always hears it even when she says nothing. She chooses responses, not reactions, because she knows that anyone can speak out of anger, impulse, or insecurity, but it takes real strength to stay calm when emotions try to take control. A silent woman is not silent because she is weak. She is silent because she refuses to let someone else control her behavior. When something upsets her, she doesn't rush to argue or defend herself. She pauses, she thinks, she observes the situation from logic, not emotion. She understands that reacting instantly can create regret, but responding intentionally creates power. Her silence becomes a shield that protects her from being manipulated. When someone tries to provoke her, her calmness frustrates them. Loud people lose power when they can't get a reaction out of her. She does not argue with fools. She does not fight battles that don't help her grow. She reads the room, she reads the person, and she decides whether speaking is even worth it. Many times she realizes it's not, and that moment of restraint is where her strength lives. She knows that a reaction might satisfy her ego for a minute, but a response protects her peace for a lifetime. Silent women are thinkers. They analyze, they wait, they gather information before giving an answer. They understand that silence reveals truth. When she doesn't respond right away, people expose themselves, liars talk more, manipulators try harder, insecure people panic, and the honest remain steady by not reacting. She sees who someone truly is. She responds only when words can create clarity, not conflict. She uses her voice with intention, and that makes people listen. She understands the difference between reacting to be heard and responding to be understood. Her silence also teaches her emotional discipline. Instead of exploding, she processes. Instead of shouting, she observes. Instead of seeking revenge, she lets consequences handle people. She doesn't waste energy on proving herself. She doesn't chase explanations. She doesn't need to win every argument because her peace matters more than being right. A silent woman knows that the one who controls her emotions controls her life, and she refuses to hand that power to anyone. When someone disrespects her, she doesn't break down, she doesn't scream, she simply withdraws her presence, and that absence hits harder than any reaction could. She doesn't give people the satisfaction of seeing her hurt or angry. She stays composed because she knows storms are loud, but strength is quiet. People underestimate her calm until they realize she's the one in control. She has the patience to listen, the wisdom to wait, and the maturity to speak only when necessary. She knows that silence is not about shutting down. It is about choosing what and who is worth her voice. And because she doesn't react recklessly, she moves smarter, she keeps her dignity, and she protects her power. She becomes the woman who can sit in the middle of chaos and still think clearly, the woman who can hear insults and still choose her peace, the woman who turns silence into strategy and self-control into strength. Her boundaries speak louder than arguments because she understands that real power is not in convincing people to treat her right, but in refusing to stay where she is not respected. A silent woman does not waste her voice begging someone to value her. She simply removes access. She doesn't argue about loyalty. She watches how people show it. She doesn't warn someone before distancing herself. She just becomes unavailable, and that silence hurts more than any speech. When she sets boundaries, she doesn't need to explain them 10 times. Once is enough, and if someone keeps pushing, her silence becomes the answer. She has learned that people who truly care don't need long lectures to understand her limits. They adjust. The ones who don't are the ones she lets go. She knows that arguing for respect is already a sign that someone is not giving it. So instead of fighting to be heard, she chooses to protect her peace. Silent women do not chase after apologies. They don't beg to be treated better. They don't plead for understanding. They walk away, and that calm departure has more strength than 1,000 emotional speeches. Her boundary might show up in small ways like not responding to disrespect, not entertaining drama, not explaining herself to people who already made up their minds. She saves her energy for those who deserve it, and that makes her different. Many talk about self-respect, but she practices it. She knows that attention is not affection, compliments are not effort, and excuses are not change. She does not fall for words. She looks for consistency. Her silence becomes the standard. If someone wants to stay in her life, they must rise to meet it. She is patient, but she is not blind. She gives chances, but not endless ones. She forgives, but she doesn't forget patterns. When someone crosses a line, she doesn't explode. She doesn't curse or cry for them to act right. She just closes the door, and the sudden quiet is what makes them realize what they lost. Her boundaries are clear without being loud. She can look someone in the eyes without saying a word, and they still know they went too far. She teaches people how to treat her by what she allows and what she refuses to allow. She is not afraid to disappoint others if it means protecting herself. She doesn't shrink to keep the peace. She doesn't bend just to be liked. She will sit alone before she tolerates disrespect. That is her power. A silent woman knows that leaving a toxic situation without drama is more powerful than staying to fight a pointless battle. Her strength is not in how loudly she stands up for herself, but in how quietly she walks away. She doesn't seek revenge. Her absence is enough, and eventually the same people who ignored her boundaries start to feel what her silence really means. They learn that access to her was a privilege, not a right, and once it's gone, they can't talk their way back in. She chooses herself every time, and that is how her boundaries speak louder than arguments. Her silence protects her peace and power because she knows that not everything deserves a reaction. Not everyone deserves an answer, and not every situation needs her voice. A silent woman understands that peace is expensive, and she refuses to spend it on chaos. She has learned that the world is full of people who want attention, who want drama, who want a response just to feel powerful. So she gives them nothing. She keeps her emotions guarded, not because she is cold, but because she is wise. She knows that once someone sees what hurts her, they can use it against her. So she speaks less. She reveals less. She observes more. Her silence becomes a shield that protects her heart from manipulation and her mind from stress. She does not involve herself in meaningless arguments. She does not chase explanations from people who wouldn't understand anyway. She doesn't try to prove her worth to those who overlook it. She keeps her circle small and her standards high, and that silence filters out the people who only want to take from her when someone tries to attack her with insults. She does not lower herself to their level. She keeps her dignity because she knows that reacting gives them power, but silence takes it away. She doesn't get pulled into gossip because she knows that people who gossip with her will gossip about her. She stays out of conversations that destroy her peace. She does not need to be the loudest to be respected. She just needs to be consistent, calm, and self-controlled. Her silence shows maturity. It shows that she understands you cannot argue someone into changing. You cannot force someone to see your value, and you cannot make someone tell the truth just by demanding it. She lets actions reveal everything. Her silence keeps her grounded when life gets heavy instead of complaining to everyone. She deals with things privately. She heals in quiet spaces. She prays, she reflects, she breathes, she rebuilds, and when she comes back stronger, nobody even saw the fight she won alone. A silent woman knows that most problems don't need a reaction. Time exposes lies, karma exposes betrayal, and character exposes intentions. She just waits. And in that waiting, she stays peaceful. Her silence also protects her from speaking words she can't take back. She understands that anger is temporary, but damage can be permanent. So she chooses calm, she chooses grace, she chooses to walk away with her peace still intact. People often underestimate her because she doesn't make noise. They think she doesn't notice. They think she doesn't care, but she sees everything. She just doesn't react to everything. She knows what deserves her attention and what deserves her silence, and most of the time silence wins. Her silence becomes her power because it makes people curious. It makes them wonder what she is thinking. It makes them question themselves, and it makes them respect her, even if they don't always understand her. She doesn't need to prove her strength. Her self-control proves it for her. She protects her heart, her mind, and her energy with silence because peace is her priority and protecting it is her greatest power. People respect what they cannot easily access because when a silent woman doesn't make herself available to everyone, she becomes rare, and rarity creates value. She doesn't respond instantly. She doesn't say yes to every invitation. She doesn't give all of her time, attention, or energy to people who haven't earned it. And that distance makes others take her seriously. She understands that the more available she is, the more people take her for granted, so she chooses to be intentional with who gets close. She is warm, but not wide open. She is kind, but not naive. She can be present, yet still mysterious. People want to know more about her because she doesn't reveal everything. She doesn't overshare. She doesn't broadcast her problems, her plans, or her emotions to the world. She keeps her life private, and that privacy makes her powerful, because the less they know, the less they can control, judge, or sabotage. She doesn't explain her boundaries. She just lives by them. She doesn't talk about her dreams. She just works on them. She doesn't warn people before she leaves their lives. She just disappears when she's had enough disrespect. Silence makes her unpredictable, and unpredictability makes people adjust their behavior around her. They choose their words carefully. They treat her with caution because they know she won't tolerate anything less. She doesn't reward disrespect with attention. She doesn't feed conflict. She doesn't entertain gossip or drama. She simply removes herself, and when she does, people feel the absence of her presence more than they ever appreciated her presence. Her silence teaches others that she will not be controlled, she will not be guilted, and she will not be persuaded by pressure. She does not chase anyone. If someone wants to stay in her life, their actions will prove it. And if they don't, she lets them go without a speech. She knows that access to her is a privilege, not a right, and privileges must be earned. When she gives her time to someone, it means something. When she shares her thoughts, it means something. When she opens her heart, it means something. because she doesn't give those things to everyone. She chooses wisely, and that's what makes people value her. The world is full of loud voices asking for attention, but her silence makes her stand out. People are drawn to her because they can't read her easily. They wonder what she thinks, how she feels, what she knows, and that mystery creates respect. She controls the narrative of her life by choosing what to show and what to hide, and that control gives her power. She learns that people treat private things with care and public things with carelessness, so she keeps her worth protected. Her silence also makes people reflect on their behavior. When she stops talking to someone, they start questioning themselves, wondering what they did wrong. Her absence forces them to face their own actions. She teaches lessons without raising her voice, without threatening, without arguing, just through distance. And that distance shows she is not afraid of being alone because she doesn't measure her value by who wants her. She measures it by who deserves her. And the less access people have to her, the more they respect her presence when they do get it.